Hey guys, it's That Filthy Casual. IMDb's 250 best movies of all time. How many have you seen? This week I am doing Hotel Rwanda. And I know that this is completely random, but I hadn't done a historical drama film yet. And so I just really wanted to give it a try. So anyway, this movie was made in the 2000s and it revolves around the Rwandan Genocide that happened in 1994. Now, personally, I had never heard of this genocide, and I'm sure a lot of you guys haven't either, which I just think is atrocious. Especially considering the event was, the event was a lot of time it's like considered an African Holocaust. Especially considering this movie about this event is considered an African Schindler's List. So, I don't understand how more of us haven't heard of this. And maybe I've heard of it, I just didn't realize that I'd heard of it. I don't know. If so, that's my bad. So, this movie was brought to the big screen by our dear director, Terry George. Now, I haven't really heard of a lot of Terry George's work, and maybe I'll see more of it as I continue down this list. You never know. But overall, I didn't necessarily think that he was the necessary component to telling the story. I think that he did a fabulous job, because as a historical drama, you really need to concentrate on plot, and I really felt that he helped communicate the plot to the viewers in a way that made us emotionally connected to this event. However, I don't necessarily think that he was the missing component and that he was the necessary puzzle piece in bringing together all of it, if that makes sense. I think it more had to do with the cast. We have Don Cheadle and Sophie Okonedo, and both of them were nominated for Academy Awards. Now, this movie itself was nominated for several Academy Awards, but it didn't win any. But both of them were nominated and won awards and both of them won awards at a bunch of different types of awards for their roles. So their character portrayal of these real-life heroes basically was definitely appreciated by the public. Now, scoring sometimes had me in tears. Honestly, this entire film had me at the edge of my seat. And scoring at certain parts, any part involving these like orphans or these children, they used this one song sung by a children's choir, and it just completely moved me. Which, when it comes to scoring, that's what I'm looking for a lot of the time, is did it help the overall scene communicate what it needed to communicate? And it did, and it was brilliant. But anyway, so overall plot, they were basically two ethnic groups at the time in Rwanda, and one ethnic group had been oppressing the other for years and years. Finally, the group that was oppressed decided to turn tables around and not just oppress the alternate group, but to kill all of them in the country. And it was basically the story of a man was married to a woman that belonged to this other ethnic group that was being killed off. And he's a manager at this hotel, and he has a lot of connections being this manager of this hotel. And he at first only uses his connections to protect his family during this time, but then eventually, just through circumstances, he ends up using his hotel as a refugee camp for over 1,000 refugees during this time. And it's the story of him taking care of his family, but by protecting his family, he takes in all of these people. And it's him using all of his connections. It's him communicating to the world the atrocity that's happening. And it's just crazy brilliant. And you feel so connected to the story. And it makes you question the world, the way that the world is run. And there's so many good parts, and there's so many good quotes. And I think something that really stuck out to me was there's a cameraman with a news station, and he's covering this entire event, and the manager looks at him and says, "Don't you think that when people see this footage that they're going to want to do something about what's happening here?" And he basically says, "I think they're going to look at it and say, this is awful, and then they're going to turn around and finish eating their dinner." it's true a lot of times the way that we look at tragedy and we look at news is that it's so far away, or it's half a world away. And I feel like this makes us realize that sometimes we don't take other people's problems seriously until their problems are our problems, or things are happening in our own backyard. And it's a shame, and I think that this movie kind of throws it in your face that if there's a change that can be made to help people, we need to bring about change. We need to be the ones making a difference. And I feel like that's the overall thing that this film communicates, is that one person can make a difference for so many. I loved it. I loved every second of it. I wasn't bored at all. Hopefully I wouldn't be bored. But honestly, I would give this movie an 8 out of 10. I think it was worth it. I think I completely understand why it was on the list. I don't really feel like it was too adventurous in tone, but it's also understandable considering it was inspired by a true story. So, I mean, you can only do things, you can only kind of experiment with your storytelling to be able to communicate to a mass audience a certain amount before your mass audience just gets gravely confused. So, but yeah, overall, 8 out of 10. It was really good. So I would say go out and watch it, because it definitely made a difference in, well, not just the way that I view film, but also the way that I view history and the way that I view society. So, I mean, and I feel like that was the point. So, but anyway, it's Windham, your filthy casual. Follow me on all that crap down below. And I'll see you guys next time.